Hello, everybody. Hello. This is Michelle Smith, and I am so happy that you are here for today's Lunch and Live. And so I have these little sayings that I call Michelleisms. And they're things that either I have heard from others or I have thought about myself. They are things that allow me to be positive and remain positive in my life. And there's a Michelleism I want to share with you. And actually, I got this Michelleism from my mother, and she got it from her mother. You see, my grandmother, she grew up, she was born and raised in Virginia, and she lived on a farm off of Route 2. And so my mom was born and raised on that farm, and they lived off of the land. They grew what they ate, and also whatever animals that they either raised or bought, they grew what they ate. And they, used those animals, of course, chickens and all the things that we love to eat. And, they had the animals there, and forgive this, I know you're at lunch, but of course, you slaughter the animals and then you do what you need to do to clean them so you can eat them. And so there was a saying my grandmother had that I believe is a positive saying that you can take throughout the rest of your week and throughout the rest of your life. And her saying was, let the hair go with the hide. Let the hair go with the hide. And so let me just get into what that really means. As you may know, when you, of course, have to clean something that of course, they slaughter the animals, they cut them up, the butcher cuts up the animals. We go to, once we get the meat from the supermarket, it's already cut up. But how many of you ladies have cooked chicken, gone to Giant and gotten that chicken, and you know that you just can't cook that chicken out of the package? You have to clean that chicken, because even the manufacturing process for meat doesn't always get all the feathers off the chicken, right? And when you're living on a farm and you don't have the big manufacturing, you still have to do what you need to do to get the hair off of the hide, right? And it's not easy to get the hair off the hide. We all know that the manufacturing process is such that we still have to clean our chicken before we cook it. We still have to clean it and get the rest of the feathers and whatnot off of the chicken. Well, when you are, of course, trying to clean meat, whatever it might be that you're cooking, the hair has to come off of the hide. Well, my grandmother used to say, let the hair go with the hide, because sometimes it can be frustrating trying to get that hair off that hide. Sometimes you've done all that you can do trying to get that hair off that hide, but sometimes you just have to let the hair go with the hide. And that is a saying that is useful to you in your life. It's useful to you in business. Sometimes you have to let the hair go with the hide. We're going to talk about a businesswoman today named Lydia. And if any of you are self-employed, or you have a little business on the side, many people work full time, but they have something on the side, that they sell. Well, you have to, of course, be about your business. And we're business women. We want to be about our business, right? But sometimes you can't control circumstances and situations in your business, and it doesn't necessarily always happen the way you want it to happen. And that's not just with business, that's with life, right? Life doesn't always go the way we want it to go. It just doesn't always work out the way we want it to work out. But sometimes you just have to say, you know what? Let the hair go with the hide. I'm not going to allow the circumstances to bother me. I'm not going to allow the circumstances to mess up my homeostasis. If I know I've done all that I can do, we're just going to let the hair go with the hide. And I'm telling you, that saying is going to help you stay positive in many a situation. There may be some of you out there right now that are going through something today that's not working like you want it to work, and you've done everything that you can do to get that thing done. Well, you know what, sis? Just say to yourself, let the hair go with the hide. It's okay. I'm not going to get my blood pressure up. I'm not going to let this thing steal my joy, because God is too good. And I know which direction I'm going in. And I just have to keep it moving. Sometimes we just have to keep it moving. So that is my Michelleism for you today. Let the hair go with the hide, sis. Sometimes it's just not even worth it, right? You just got to keep on going. Why? Because God is still good. All right, ladies, we're going to talk about Lydia today. So I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen. I hope you enjoyed that little positivity tip. I hope it blesses you throughout the week. So let's talk about Lydia today here at our Lunch and Live on Thursday, March 31st. The spotlight is on Lydia. Lydia was an entrepreneur in the Bible. She was a Gentile from the city of Thyatira. And we have all the information in your information packet. If you are in the Delightful Infusion group and you want a copy of the packet, send an email to delightfulinfusion@gmail.com and we will get it to you. All right, Lydia was a Gentile. She was from the city of Thyatira, and she was interested in learning about the Jewish faith. And so Lydia would gather at the river in Philippi. Philippi was in Macedonia. She would gather at the river to pray with other women. Now, she was a seller of purple. Some writers say that she sold a purple cloth. Some writers say that it was a purple dye. And what it says is that the waters of Thyatira were well suited for the dye industry. There was a big industry in Thyatira. Thyatira was organized by various different guilds. These guilds were sort of like unions, like employee unions, sort of. They were craftsmen guilds that people joined. And it was well organized. There was a political system, an economic system with trade associations, trade guilds in Thyatira. And how do we know this? We've done a little research, and we have a quote here from the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia online. And so this information is important because when we take a look at where Lydia is found in the Bible, she's in Acts, the 16th chapter, the 14th and 15th verse, and she's mentioned again in the 40th verse. But don't let it fool you that she's only mentioned in a few places, because that whole 16th chapter of Acts is the chapter where Paul and Silas were thrown in jail. And so it starts out with them coming to Macedonia and meeting up with some women who were praying at the river, and Lydia was one of those women. And the Bible tells us that Lydia showed a reverence for God. Her heart was open. And so it was contrary to the nature of the Dyers Guild to which it is felt she belonged. So this constitutes her test. Despite the leanings of the guild, Lydia gathered at the river. I'm going to read you a quote from the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia online. It says, "Powerful among them was the guild of the coppersmiths. Another was the guild of the dyers, who it is believed made use of the madder root instead of the shellfish for making the purple dye stuffs. A member of this guild seems to have been Lydia of Thyatira, who, according to Acts 16:14, sold her dyes in Philippi. The color obtained by the use of this dye is now called Turkish red." So that's a fun fact. The guilds were closely connected with the Asiatic religion of the place. Pagan feasts, with which immoral practices were associated, were held. And therefore, the nature of the guilds was such that they were opposed to Christianity. So that was a test. But regardless of it, she was courageous enough to still gather at the river and pray and worship the one true God. She was still courageous enough as she went through her transition to be open to what Paul had to say. And so in her transition, we learn when Paul journeyed to Macedonia, he stopped in Philippi, and on the Sabbath day, he went down to the river where Lydia and the other women were gathered. And Lydia heard him preach. And the Bible says her heart was opened, and because of that, her entire family was baptized. What a wonderful thing. Not just her, but her entire family was converted. And so let's talk a little bit about what that did for her. What was her transformation, right? When Lydia was converted, she opened her home to Paul. We see this noted in Acts 16 and 15. And when she was baptized and her household, she besought us, saying, if ye have judged me to be faithful to the Lord, come to my house and abide there. And she constrained us. So what that shows is that she wasn't taking no for an answer. She's like, come, if I'm faithful, if you've judged me to be faithful, come, let me be hospitable to you. Come to my house, stay with me. And they did. So Lydia went from a businesswoman connected to a pagan guild to a Christian businesswoman full of hospitality to those who carried the gospel. What a transformation. She provided a base of operations while Paul and Silas were in Macedonia. And during this time, Paul and Silas were thrown in prison for preaching the gospel. Now, you know this story, age-old story. The angel of the Lord opened the prison and loosed them from their constraints. The prison guard thought they had fled, and he almost killed himself. But Paul cried out and said, oh, no. We're here. We are all here. Don't harm yourself. Because of that, the prison guard and his entire family were converted to Christianity. And when Paul and Silas were released from prison, they returned to Lydia's house. And we see this in Acts 16 and 40. And they went out of the prison and entered into the house of Lydia. And when they had seen the brethren, they comforted them and departed. So what was the key to Lydia's positive change? Lydia's heart was open to God and to the preaching of the gospel. And because of this, she received salvation, really the most positive change someone can receive. Now, as an entrepreneur, a self-employed seller of purple, which was a remarkable thing for a woman to be at that time, she relied on God as she ran her business. So we've named our entrepreneur coaching after Lydia, because she was an example of a woman who bossed up and she started her business, right? And she ran her business, but she humbled herself to serve God and to support those who preached the gospel. And so we can learn so much from her. We want you to be thinking about Lydia. And as we think about Lydia, certainly we want you to journal about your business, your tests, your trials, your transition, and your transformation, but not just, your business, because you may have a business, for example, that is a business that stands alone. You could be a CEO of a corporation yourself. You could be self-employed as a real estate agent, as a insurance agent. There can be many things that you could be doing, or you could be a W-2 employee. You could have something on the side. You could be doing Pampered Chef, Avon, or some other business on the side. Whatever it is, whatever business you're involved in, think about things that you have to deal with in your business, and realize and know that just like Lydia's heart was open to God, that the key to your positive change is being open to God and casting your cares on him. Sometimes you got to let the hair go with the hide, just like I said. And also, even if you're a W-2 employee and you don't have a business of your own, there's still something to take away from this, because if you have an entrepreneurial spirit with regard to your W-2 job that you're sitting on your job working right now, I guarantee you will be more than valuable to your employer. You want keys to positive change? Treat your job, your W-2 job, like it is a business, like it's your own business. And if you do that, you're going to get the attention of your boss or your supervisor. And when it comes time for promotions and when it comes time for raises, you're going to be ahead of the game. I guarantee you that. I've seen it happen in my own life. When I went the extra mile in my business, on my job, on my W-2 job where I was working for somebody else. And when I put my all into that, then when it came time for new projects, I was picked. When it came time for promotions, I got the promotion. When it came time for an increase, I got a high increase. So those are keys to positive change. When you go above and beyond, when you, like Lydia, she didn't have to open her house to Paul and Silas, but she got something, she received something positive, and she went the extra mile to help them. And so if you go the extra mile on your job or in your business, the extra customer service mile, you're going to get more customers. But here's the thing, this is what's going to help you stay positive. When you have done all you can do on that job, when you have done all you can do for that customer, when you have done all you can do to bring about that positive result, if it doesn't come out that way, sis, let the hair go with the hide. Let the hair go with the hide. Give it to God and keep it moving. Keep it moving. Don't let anything steal your joy. Don't let anything come between you and the positive transformation that you're trying to bring about. If you have goals and you have dreams and you have things that you want to accomplish, if you have a family to take care of, you have, responsibilities that you have to keep up with, you've got to keep that positive attitude no matter what is going on. And one way to do it is to remember in the back of your mind, and I'm hoping you'll take that sometime this week. If something goes on where you've done all you can do, I hope you hear my voice saying, honey, let the hair go with the hide. Just let the hair go with the hide. It's going to be okay. And so we want to leave that with you. And I want to thank you so much for being here at Lunch and Live. And we are looking forward to seeing you next week. Same time, Thursday, 12 noon sharp, for Lunch and Live. Have a wonderfully blessed day.